All right, welcome back, everyone, for another episode of Top 10 Toys. This is my top 10 rundown of the top 10 most valuable toys that fit a certain list or criteria or group. This specific week, we are actually going to be looking at Transformers. If my garb didn't tip you off, we're going to be looking at those reissued, those sort of like later printings. Like if you know comics, those reissued versions of Transformers. A bunch of them came out in the early 2000s out of Toys R Us, and then more recently, Walmart has done some reissues celebrating some anniversaries, etc. So these aren't the originals. We can do that one of these days. These are the commemorative reissue versions of some of these original Transformer toys. Hopefully you're enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure that you like, you subscribe, you hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing this tiny little channel. And if you haven't tried Whatnot before, first-time users, use my link below in the description down below. Use that link and you get a free $15 to spend on whatever you want with whomever you want on your first purchase. No strings attached. Buy from whatever you want. Buy anything that you like. And not only will you help the channel, you get yourself something nice. So if you haven't tried Whatnot before, you really got nothing to lose just to giving it a shot. With that all said, if you're eager to see this top 10 list, just hang in for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back. All right, so here we go. Let's just get right into the list and start off our top 10 toys with our honorable mentions. These ones almost made the list, but not quite enough to cut it. So let's see what we got first. Oh, looks like we got an Autobot leading us off. And yes, this is a reissue of Optimus Prime. As you can see here, this is just the truck. No trailer included on this one, on this different sort of reissue, because the main truck comes with the trailer, etc. This is just the truck, just Optimus, our Autobot commander here. This was a reissue out of Walmart, and this one came out a few years ago. I want to say it was 2018 when this one was again reissued. When it came out, it was just under 30 bucks. So under 30 bucks, you can get yourself a nice little redo of our original Optimus Prime. And had you bought one when this came out in 2018, you would have made yourself a few bucks, because right now this thing goes for a little over $53. So again, you're not going to get rich off of this thing, but it's only a few years old and it already sells at a decent little premium considering what it originally cost. That said, that's our first honorable mention. And I do still want one of the originals. If you watch my last top 10, it was my personal holy grails, and Optimus was right in there with Soundwave. And we'll see. I think we might have a Soundwave on this list a little bit later. But for now, we will go over to the Decepticon side of things for another honorable mention. But it is not the Soundwave, either Soundwave reissue. In fact, it's Starscream. So Starscream is our other honorable mention for this list. Also, a recent issue out of Walmart. So Walmart has had a number of Transformer reissues of late. And this one also came out in 2018, the same time around about that Optimus came out. This one, however, cost a little bit more. It was 50 bucks. But if you take a look at this thing, apart from it being very, very true to the original, the most interesting thing about this particular figure is look at what Starscream's holding. How awesome is that? They didn't have a version when we were kids where he could hold Megatron when he was in his pistol form, but here Starscream can and does in this commemorative reissue. I think that's really awesome there. I mean, take a look at that thing. I want it just for that alone. And it's selling at a little bit of a premium. I mean, this was 50 bucks out of the gate. And right now, if you wanted one, it's a little over $61. So, I mean, you're going to cost an extra like 12 bucks, but ultimately, that's not really that bad. But look again, inside that box, you can see the little Megatron that goes with him. How awesome is that? Now, those were our honorable mentions, which means that now we can go right into the actual top 10 list. And coming in at number 10, we have our first Autobot here. This is Red Alert. Odd choice. I remember this even back in the day. I like this figure, by the way, because he is a Lambo. He's a Lamborghini, as you can see here. But Red Alert He's a fire chief Lamborghini. Why does the fire chief have a Lamborghini? That was always confused me as a kid. It's like, why is the fire chief got a Lamborghini? That seems a bit, excessive. Like this isn't, we're not over in Saudi Arabia here, like where the cop cars were all like Bugattis and things like that. But still cool. Still a cool figure. And Red Alert came out of Toys R Us, who did a number of reissues around this time. They're even marked, like numbered, like what series that they came out with. This was actually from 2003. And again, you get another little shot of that Lamborghini. And he transforms obviously into a robot. This cost $30 when it came out, which actually is quite a bit of money considering this was, 20 years ago. So $30 for a reissued figure wasn't cheap, but still, had you purchased one and had you still hung on to your Red Alert, you would have done well because this one is over $67 now. So more than double your money on a lot of these reissues from the early 2000s. This was a commemorative series, as you can see here, 4 right on the box. So they actually came in like these oversized boxes where you can open the flap and see the figure inside. You might still need to put some decals and things like that onto the toys, but you could see them inside this box without opening them if you decided to do so. It was like a little, little door that opened a little window inside. But up next, we will see there are going to be a number of these from the Toys R Us series because they did a lot, to be fair, over the years, mostly in those early 2000s. But we have another one here with Series 9. So we had a couple of runs later. We have Ricochet with Nightstick. So this is like one of those little headmaster guys. You got the little extra little figure robot that turned into either a weapon or a head if you were building like a larger robot. But also at a Toys R Us are Ricochet and Nightstick. Everything's laid out there. So you do have Ricochet there as a Porsche, and then you have a little rocket, a blaster, some missiles. And if you look at that other little blaster at the back, that is actually the folded up little dude. That's Nightstick, I guess. He's folded up, and then he would unfold and become a robot. Very, very simple transforming, but he transformed into a weapon. So that's how they sold it. And it was plus it's an extra little guy. He wasn't the main focus. The main focus was the Porsche here. So you get another little shot there at Nightstick from 2004. So this came out a year later. I'm assuming they must have done it in waves over each month. They had a couple of different issues. But this one was a little bit pricier coming out a year later. This one was $35 as opposed to the $30 of the last one. But still. And you can see the little Nightstick is on his shoulder folded up as, again, like a big shoulder blaster of sorts, and then he comes out off and you can turn him into a tiny little robot to go next to your Ricochet figure. $35 when it came out. These days, if you wanted to get one, it's going to run you about $70. So very close to the last one, but still a decent premium on these 20-year-old reissues. And again, these are reissues, and the figures before that were at least 15 to 16 years before then, from the 80s. So that's weird to think about. Like these reissues were actually closer to the originals than we are to these reissues. Kind of strange, right? But with that said, our next figure up on our list is coming in at number 8, Rodimus Prime. Yes, Hot Rod, who in the movie, if you remember, becomes the new Optimus, which means he had to become a truck, which was kind of weird, but I guess they wanted to make him a bigger robot, but he went from like this weird futuristic looking hot rod car into a hot rod truck. Here, you'll get a better look at it in a second. But Rodimus Prime from Series 7, it looks like. So kind of in between those last two. Also at a Toys R Us, as you can tell by these boxes. You got the wing, you got a couple of side panels there, a big, huge blaster. And yeah, the car kind of slides underneath the trailer there. So it was like a little almost minivan, camperish kind of a truck that he became. I was never really a big fan. Wasn't a big fan from the movie. I just wanted my Optimus back, but we had to do what we had to do, and make do where we had to make do. And when you put them all together, it looks like this weird little futuristic. Like I said, it looks kind of like a camper van, right? Like it looks like gonna go on a road trip with a family. I don't know, not really for me. Neither was the robot version of this. To be fair, $35 out of the gate, but man, this wasn't really that great of a figure. I mean, look, it's pretty basic, Pretty basic with the transforming. I mean, he doesn't even really do anything. He just kind of lays on his face and his arms come off of the sides. And then the trailer opens up into like a side weapon, which is also very similar to what Optimus's trailer also did with the fold out. It wasn't very original, but 35 bucks when it came out. And today, a little over 75, almost $76. So decent premium here for Rodimus Prime. But like I said, it just wasn't my favorite. Those are my favorite. But this isn't a list about my favorites. This is the most valuable. So just because I wouldn't be shelling out 76 bucks for this one doesn't mean others might not. You might have a completely different take and really are a big fan of Rodimus Prime from the Transformers movie. That said, let's go on to lucky number 7. And with lucky number 7, we have yet another Autobot and yet another Toys R Us release. This time, it's the Autobot Trax. This is volume 5 or series 5 of the commemorative series. Once again, they had a whole bunch of options, and again, you can open it up and you can take a look inside. I really should have given you a picture of seeing inside the box, but I forgot, so I apologize for that. But I will show you what's in the box because I did get pictures of that. So here is Trax, who was a Corvette, pretty awesome. Looks like a blue version of Dirk Diggler's car. Some rockets and weaponry, etc., that you're going to add on to them. Again, Toys R Us exclusive. This goes back to 2003, so this was on the earlier side of things, and this guy would have been on the earlier side of things would have cost about 30 bucks when he came out. And here's a look at him transformed out into his robot form. Kind of cool. Very, very close in price to Rodimus Prime. But considering it costs $5 less and a few pennies more, 30 bucks these days, it's $75.99. So basically $76. Not too bad for Trax. Who really isn't one of the classics. Like, yeah, I remember this, the Corvette, but the character, at least, wasn't one of the ones heavily featured on the cartoons or anything like that. So interesting to see this level of, price on a figure that doesn't have a lot of fanfare that I'm aware of. Maybe there's a subset of collectors out there who just love their Trax. But to me, I don't recall him much from all the cartoons and the movies, etc. So, yeah, just interesting is all. Unlike the next character, who I do remember being featured on the those original cartoons, and this is Prowl, yet another classic reissue out of Toys R Us. This is volume 4 from the commemorative series, and you can see here that this also came out of Toys R Us. He was kind of like almost like a Mazda, a little bit like a Mazda slash. It could have been, not the 911 Porsche, but what's the other one? Anyway, doesn't matter. Looks more like a Mazda to me. But the Prowl, he was a police car. Came out in 2003. You can see here, Highway Patrol, Super Trooper style. Turns into a robot. Also cost 30 bucks when he came out. Pretty cool. I mean, like I said, I remember him. Yes, the back of the car being the feet was a little weird and a little clunky looking, but ultimately still, I like the head sculpt and the chest being the front of the car. Those were always a good look for those car Transformers way back in the day. The feet were always tricky. I will say that. But 30 bucks when it came out. This thing can get you $80 today. One actually just sold just yesterday or the day before, a few days ago, earlier this week, let's just say. Because while I'm filming this in the middle of the week, this won't drop until Saturday. But earlier in the week, one sold for 80 bucks, which is why we got our price there at $80 for Prowl. Now, that's 6. So that was our top half of the top 10. You notice these were all Autobots the whole way. But don't worry, we got you covered. Because leading in and breaking into the top 5, we will come with our first Decepticon here. So our first Decepticon is one of my favorites, Soundwave. This is the Soundwave collector set with Buzzsaw. So there was a set that actually came out this year, a 40th anniversary version. So yet another Soundwave that was almost an honorable mention, but with some recent sales, like with Prowl making it onto the list, my original breakdown had this as the other one as an honorable mention, but he didn't quite make it this time. The 40th anniversary one has 2 cassette tapes. I think it's Laserbeak and Ravage included. This one has Buzzsaw, which is the golden bird with Soundwave. And this one, was from a little bit earlier. This was from Walmart also. Both Walmart reissues, the ones I'm talking about. The 40th anniversary that came out this year, as well as this would, I guess, have been the 35th, even though it's not branded that way, because this one came out in 2019. So you can see here, again, with the little gold cassette tape, the same little rockets that you would have gotten on the original Soundwave from back in the day. 2019. Here's a good look at Buzzsaw. You put those things on there, fold them out. Always fun. I always love the cassette tapes and always loved Soundwave. Again, one of my favorites. Definitely on my wish list and grail list is to get an original. I want to get the originals back. Though I would be happy to get one of these. I should have bought one of these, but I haven't yet. The new one also, I believe, costs about $50. This one from 5 years ago also runs about $50. However, the 40th anniversary one that came out just this year, it's already like, I think it's like 55 or so. It's only a few bucks more than the actual cost. But the one from 2019, which cost 50, is all the way up to almost $90. So this one sells at a really nice premium considering it's only a few years old. So you look at that 87.64 on that $50 cost from 2019. Pretty cool box. You get to see the figure inside. I mean, what more do you want? Well, you want an Optimus, right? So that's what I got for you coming in at number 4. We do have our reissued Optimus Prime making it onto the list. This is from the commemorative series 1. So the one of the early releases out of Toys R Us, the very first volume. Yes, you get the trailer. You get the weird little 6-man car that you didn't have people to put in. You got these extra little pipes and weapons, the fist for Optimus when he turned into a robot. Yes, classic. Classic. Toys R Us 2002 is when they started these. So this first version came out in 2002 and would have run you $40 when it came out. And like I said before, you can open up the trailer. You got the robot. You got the trailer with the weird little sidecar thing, weird little mechanic thing as well. And you can just pretend that Spike or somebody is in there working away with Optimus. So the original $40 cost today gets you over $93. So $93.33 for this 2002 commemorative series 1 reissue of Optimus Prime. Pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. And more than double its original value, which ain't bad. Ain't bad. But we still have our top 3 to go. And we will move on to our next Autobot. And it is another Lambo. The original Lambo, my favorite, the red Sideswipe, just awesome figure. Sideswipe. When I was younger, I want what kid didn't want a Lamborghini when they were young? If you were a kid in the '80s, you wanted either a Ferrari, Lamborghini, or a Porsche. I kind of wanted all of them, but my favorite, just because of the doors opening up and just the sleek look to it, just yeah, I know it kind of looks like a shaver, but still, Sideswipe, red Lamborghini. This thing was awesome. Toys R Us 2004. This one came out it's basically Red Alert was a repainted version of this. Again, why they made a Fire Chief Lamborghini, I don't know. But this one made a lot of sense to me. This one also cost $30 when it came out in 2004. But today, if you wanted to get this reissue of Sideswipe, it's going to run you $110. So really nice return here on Sideswipe because, well, popular figure, popular vehicle. What are you going to do? Okay. Going back to the Decepticons now for number 2. This is actually a really cool set. And I say set because it is actually a collection of 6 figures. Way back in the day, much like Voltron, Transformers had the Combiners. Before they were called Combiners, the very first set, the Constructicons, coming at number 2. Yes, these awesome lime green construction vehicles all formed up to make Devastator. How cool was that as a kid? Walmart reissued this not that long ago. As you can see here, you get a bunch of the figures. You get all 6 of the Constructicons. They all go together. This was from 2018, so just a few years ago again. Just a few years ago. It did have a hefty cost because you are getting 6 little Transformers inside of it, but it was $74 at cost at Walmart. But today, this thing will run you at least like $135. So, I get it. Sideswipe is a better return on that $30 investment, whereas this, you had to shell out 74, but 134 bucks is still more than 110. So this comes in at number 2 and is a really awesome set. I remember getting all these individually when I was a kid and opening them up. They were on the card backs, and you had to open up your Hook and Mixmaster. I think Hook and Bone Crusher, I think were the first ones I got, and then I had to slowly earn the rest of them by doing my chores and whatnot as a kid. I will admit I was still spoiled, but I do recall those old days of getting these on the original little floppy cards. With that said, we've got one left. So with that, we will go to our number 1 and see what we got, which is sort of a repainted Optimus, but sort of not. It's Ultra Magnus. Yes, I remember when this first came out, I was like, it's a white Optimus Prime, because it is. It's a white Optimus Prime truck, but they redid the trailer truck on the back so you can put other vehicles inside of it, made it a little more player-friendly than the original Optimus Prime truck. And the white truck's kind of cool, but still didn't feel original enough to me. So I was never really a huge Ultra Magnus fan. But here he is, at number 1 anyway, from Toys R Us. Once again, you can see here with the white truck, you've got the extra bits. I also didn't like it too much when you had to, because I always used to lose stuff, when you had to have the extra pieces to transform them. So, like, to make Ultra Magnus here, outside of just making him the white truck version of Optimus, who also you had to add the fists. Here, you needed new fists, you needed a chest plate, you needed an extra head. It's like, it wasn't simple enough. If you misplaced any of these pieces, you couldn't transform him properly. And that was always a bummer. Or if you took them to a friend's house and you forgot to bring the extra pieces, you couldn't transform it properly. But still a cool truck nonetheless. Like I said, you can put a car down on the bottom and you can try to stick one on top, but they would always kind of fall off. So you just really wanted to stick the one on the regular part of the trailer. But this figure was only 40 bucks when it came out. And again, here you can see that white version of Optimus, which is a cool look. It is kind of a cool look with the stark white, but once you put him all together with the trailer, because you needed the trailer and the extra head and the extra chest plate, etc., it wasn't very posable. He just looked like a big box. But it is what it is. You just kind of slid the Optimus inside of the rig, and you stuck an extra head on top of his head, and yeah, it made Ultra Magnus. It's all right. And I get it. I know there's a lot of fans. It just, to me, I'd rather stick with my original Optimus Prime. But still, 40 bucks. And today, this thing is 150 bucks. So now you can see with the reissues, also part of that first commemorative series that came out with Optimus Prime. 40 bucks, get you 150. That ain't too bad. So those are our reissues. So again, these aren't the originals. The originals, especially if we're talking like in the boxes and unopened, we're going to be talking a much different value level than these. These are actually still relatively affordable and ones you can find out there. They're not impossible to find. You can find them online. Even places like Amazon still have some of these. You still might have to pay a bit of a premium because these are older like figures and collectible, but they're out there. You can find them if you wanted to find them. So with that all said, that was my list. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you found it interesting. Hopefully it brought back some good memories as it did for me, even though, like I said, I may not have loved every figure that was on the list. That's not what this one was about. We can do my favorite Transformer list if you want. If you want to hear that, put it in the comments down below, and I will consider it for a future version of my top 10 toys. But for now, for this top 10 toys, we're sticking with value, and the list is what the list is. And with that all said, I'll see you all later with some more content. All right? Bye.